In this webcast, we're going to talk with the wizard of content, the wizard. Let's go. Hey everybody, this is Antoine with Katapult.Marketing, and this is webcast number 26. And today I have a very special guest. I have Michael Barber. Hi Michael, how are you?
Hey Antoine, I'm well. How about yourself?
I am doing marvelous, thank you. So today we're going to talk about content marketing, how it relates to your business, and how you should position your content, how you should do it and everything. And we have what is called a content wizard with Michael Barber. You're a wizard,
Something along
Michael.
those lines. Yeah, something along those lines for sure.
Yeah, so for the 12 people that don't know you in the United States, please introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background of who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So again, my name is Michael Barber. I'm the founder of a small ad agency based in Los Angeles called Barber and Hewitt. Mm-hmm. We work largely with both agencies and with brand marketers to help their teams produce better work. What does that mean? We just help work get done more efficiently and help their teams understand how work is getting done in a more modern way.
Very, very cool. So you work with big, marketing agencies and big teams, and you basically help them make sense of this ever-changing world of content marketing and, actually digital marketing, right?
Yeah, we do. As well as understanding what's happening in the marketplace, we help their teams understand how to get that work done inside their organizations. A lot of teams understand the nuances of what's changing, but it's often confusing and challenging to understand how that particular piece of work, whether it's a strategic initiative or executing a certain type of tactic, how that work actually gets done in a building, either within an agency or within a client's organization itself.
Very cool. So you are a wizard.
Something along those lines.
You are a wizard, Michael.
I come in and I cast spells and then just hope that all goes well.
Very, very cool. Yes. All right. So we're going to talk about content marketing. And there are three things that we want to cover today relating to content marketing and how you should focus and how you should start to think in terms of your content. I asked Michael to give me the three things. Like if there's only three things that pieces of advice you could give or you should focus on, you should do, what were they? So the first one you say was, actually you call them the three C's. So I will have you say, what is the first C?
The first C is consistency.
Yeah.
And I think where we're seeing issues with consistency is when you think of content, it's a big undertaking for any small business or large enterprise organization. And too often we think of the single pieces of content or we think of campaigns, right? What are we doing here, here, and here? And we don't create consistency between those pieces of content or what we're sharing online or what we're sending via email. And I think what, as an average customer wants, is a consistent experience across all your channels, whether that's the same language you use, right? It's the same nomenclature, whether it's the same feelings, the same emotions that they get when they're having that experience around your content. And you're also connecting that to any offline experience. So for the sake of example, if you're a doctor or a lawyer or you've got an office that people come into, the tone and the language and the feeling, the emotions that you put behind that content online should be the same experience that they're feeling when that customer comes into your office.
Right.
So that consistency has to be a thread, if you will, across not just online content you're creating and also from a timing perspective, but the emotional layer that you create for the person you're targeting that content at, whether they're touching it online or offline.
Very cool. Yeah, because sometimes you walk into an office and they are energetic and fun, and their content that you have online should be the same thing. Like, or the other way around. You could go into a lawyer's office and it's a little bit more, a little bit more tamed, a little bit more demure.
Buttoned up.
Yeah, a little buttoned up. Yeah, exactly. I have lawyers sometimes. They're like, well, it's like, I just ask them to be themselves, and they're like, well, there's a fine line of being yourself as a lawyer because, as you know, lawyers can be a lot of fun and private, and then when they get in a courtroom, they're very professional. So it's just total different person. Now you talk about consistency, but talk to me about consistency in time, because we get that question a lot from people. Like, how often should I blog? How often should I post on Facebook? How often I should all this? And they're looking, with bated breath for the magical number. So what would you say is the right, and is there a right number?
So there's always a right number for your audience, right? So, and it's about figuring out what that right number is for them. It's not a right number for you as the brand. That's not the question that you have to be asking yourself. What's the right number for the audience? Now, there is tons of data, really good data and research out there that suggests the number of pieces of content that you want to see across a blog, across Facebook, across Instagram. Plenty of places you can get sort of industry benchmarks and research that will tell you here's what best practice is. I'm all one for looking at those research papers through a lens and saying, does that work for us? Because there are two questions that you have to ask around consistency. One, again, what does the audience want in terms of consistency? Is it every day? Is it once a week? Is it once a month? The second the second question you've got to ask as a business owner is how much time can you commit and or resources? Because those two things have got to be married up. Because it's one thing to say that we are going to do one piece of content a day, or we're going to do one blog post or one Facebook update, whatever it is. But it's another thing if we don't have the ability, either personally our own time or our team's time or dollars to work with an outside consultant or agency to get that work done. So you've got to marry up what does our audience look for, and there are specific ways you can figure that question out. Look at what the industry is doing. Look at what the average human being posts, or what other average brands that are in your area or in your market or in your industry, what are they doing? Mirror them. Change that tempo to go more. Does that affect business metrics that you're looking at? Go less. Does it have a detrimental effect? You could see some surprises there. And then you've got to figure out how much time, resources perspective that you got, and you have from a dollars perspective to get this content done. Marry those two up, and hopefully you'll have a good sweet spot for yourself. But always be testing, right? Figuring out from a week or month perspective or quarterly, hey, this quarter we're going to do 3 times a week comparatively to 2 times a week, or we're going to change up the tempo of day of actual time of day, and see what the changes indicate. You may see some surprises in the results when you start to test those things.
That's really, really great feedback, because I get some emails. I've signed up for stuff, and it's like immediately it's like, it's just like,
deluge.
Dude, like every day, like, I'm not gonna name names, but you know who you are.
We know.
And it's just way too much, and it's like, dude, it's like I can't barely keep up with this. So it's just, you got to think in terms of, if you're a dentist, a lawyer, and whatnot, how often do they want to hear from me? Like, really? And
there is some, and by the way, there is some good news for us as business owners, right? A lot of the tools that are, fairly, not an exorbitant amount of outlay in money and resources, that enterprises are using just as well, they can help you create frequency preferences for your customers. Whether it's through email, right? Most of the major email service providers, ESPs, will allow your subscribers to tell you when they want to get messages. There are plenty of really inexpensive apps that can show you when you increase frequency, what happens when you decrease frequency, right? So answers to these questions aren't hard to get out. They feel hard, but you just have to find some of the tools that are out there that are relatively inexpensive and start putting the work in to see what that consistency looks like for your organization.
Right, and I think for a lot of businesses, sometimes listen, start with once a month. I'm probably not for social media, but I was just thinking email marketing. Do a good email marketing once a month, and if a lot of people are asking for more and everything, you can increase to once a week, or in your post the same thing. I mean, it's like, how often should I post a day? I'm like, just once a day. Or maybe 3 times a week. That's all you need. You don't need to be bombarding stuff, because after that it becomes like, like you're saying, like you're just coming up with stuff to put on your channel, but it just really doesn't do anything. So that was number
I would
one.
also say, sorry, let me go back to one last thought around this idea of consistency, is figure out the channel that actually drives the most business for you. So I have a good friend who I've been friends with since college. Her name is Lee Johnson. She owns a small flower shop in San Diego, California. 60% of her new customers
Yeah.
don't come from any social channel. They don't come from email. They come from her Google listing, her Maps listing, her small business listing. So
Right.
she focuses a lot of time on making sure that the hours are always correct for the shop, that there are updated images on their Google listing, right? That's content, that's consistency. And what she's figured out is that that's the channel that drives net new business, and that's one of their metrics they're looking at. So that's where she's putting content. That's not really even a social channel. That's not email.
Right.
That's just a core thing that we should be doing as businesses,
Right.
having a local listing. But when she looks at those metrics, those are the things that she sees. And so it's about focusing where the fish are that are going to drive your business as well, as a part of that sort of consistency theme.
Right, and I say that to some of my clients, and I go on their website and I see they have all the little icons, the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, the Google Plus, like they have all
Yep.
those things, and I'm like the saying, you know, it's like, and I don't say it in those, but I can say it because it's you and me, but you basically end up sucking at all of them instead of
Yeah, you
being
do.
really good at one. And I'm like, listen,
sure.
are you ever on Twitter? No. Why do you
Yeah.
have a Twitter account? You don't need Twitter.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're not going to spend any time, so it's like maybe all you need is a Google listing and just go all in on that, but be consistent there. So this was awesome. Number one, consistency, and that's really an amazing amount of value for you listening. You know, the consistency is really what works for you. There's not a magic number. It's not 3 times a day and there you have it. It's just really think about it in terms of how often do they want to hear from you, and then just stick with that. Number one, that was great consistency. The second C, what is the second C?
The second C is connected. And this is this idea that we create real tangible connections between everything that we're putting out there. So if you are the business owner that has Google Plus, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, your blog, your email campaigns, what's happening inside of your actual location, what's happening on maybe your e-commerce site, is that there's a connected experience. There's some sort of thread that ties those together. That's, you know, utilizing appropriate brand messaging. That's putting the line in the sand and saying, this is the nomenclature, how we're going to talk. It's even down to the nitty gritty of we are going to follow AP style versus non-AP style, right? So it's this connected experience across all of your channels. If you're lucky enough to have an app as a business, that it's branded like your business, that it looks and feels like the business, right? I think what happens, a lot of issues that we see in the marketplace, especially around content, is that they don't feel connected. It does not feel like a journey you're taking a customer on and a path that you want them to go down, versus it being, here's a tweet, here's a Facebook status update, here's our blog post. You have to create a thematic amongst those, and they have to be consistent so that somebody doesn't feel surprised when they are experiencing content either at a location or they're experiencing that content online or one of the social channels themselves.
Very cool, very cool. So the second C is being connected or connected. That's awesome. I'm looking at time, so I just want to fly. This was a good C, the connected. So the third C, what is the third C?
The third C is compassion. And that's this idea that we live in a, whether you want to say political, societal experience that we're going on right now, that requires, and actually I think begs people that are looking for brands that are compassionate. And what do I mean by compassionate? I mean using empathy and sharing stories of empathy, empowering frontline employees to create empathetic or compassionate experiences, and then telling that story across your social channels or within your content. A big organization, but one that I think does this extremely well that you could use as an example for even small businesses is Southwest. Southwest Airlines, I think, does an incredible job of, one, saying to their employees, not only is your job what you're actually doing day to day, but it's also about making sure that hopefully, you know, you're going to have deranged travelers, you're going to have people that are crazy. That's just the fact of life. But if you can offer an opportunity to show some compassion, to create those empathetic experiences, then do it. They then cultivate those stories that they hear from people, because they happen all the time, in their magazine, on their social channels, on their blog. And if you go to their YouTube channel, you will see minute to about 2.5 minute little vignettes of these stories that they've received from customers and then brought them to life through video or through text in a variety of different ways. So they not only live it at the front lines with their employees, but they also have figured out a really good way to tell those stories. And I think that is something that is keenly missing, I think, from brands today, because everyone, to a certain extent, is challenged by both, I think, what's happening in society and from a political level, and wants to feel like that there are good people and good brands out there that are trying to do their best and value their business. So creating those compassion experiences, I think, can have huge opportunities for organizations because it drives word of mouth, and word of mouth drives reviews. Reviews drive more business, and they keep people coming back to those brands on a consistent basis. So that's the third C. That's this idea of compassion.
Yeah, it's really great. And you know what? One of the things that I saw in the metrics was one of the most shared content on Facebook is awe-inspiring content.
Yes,
And it goes complete
layers.
right. It's the emotional layer. So you want to think, and I'm thinking in terms of, the businesses that we deal with here in this agencies, which are, I will call small business America. Your dentists, your chiropractors, your law firms, Whoa, where did you go?
I'm looking at myself too. Where did I go?
Yeah, hold on.
I don't see you. Connecting.
I think you got disconnected. Your video. Oh, there you are. Okay, great. Here we are. Technical difficulties. This is, we're not going to edit that, by the way. Michael
No. We keep going, right?
You know why? Because
that's what happens.
He's a wizard. You put the invisible cloak. You're a wizard, Michael.
There you go. Yeah.
So
the invisibility cloak.
Right. There you go. You did very good. You proved it. I know. It's a fact. So awe-inspiring content. So I was thinking in terms of how could they do that? And listen, you have stories. It's not always easy. I can think of, my clients, but you have stories.
You do.
Of things that happen if you're a dentist, or people that are coming in and they're having there's a story around compassion and awe-inspiring, something that you should share.
Yes.
Same thing with
and even if it's just reviews that you see online for your office, for your organization, how do you elevate those stories, right? How do you take maybe someone that said something on Google reviews or Yelp or TripAdvisor or any one of these places where people are talking about our brands, Facebook, Twitter, and then how do you bring that to the organization so people see that, right? So it's showing your office like, hey, Joe got called out on this particular review site for creating, for changing an appointment and
right.
having the ability to be flexible, or whatever it is they're sharing, right? That he said hello and asked them how their day was, right? And it's elevating those stories and then resharing them. Part of, I think, our job as organizations is sometimes we do very, very well because we've been told to at focusing on a lot of negative reviews and dealing with those because they should be dealt with. We should be responding to them. But we also not only have to respond to the positive reviews, but also elevate those opportunities too. So if somebody shares something that's positive about your business or organization, you can create a little quote image of a little image of that quote, and it can be shared on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It can be shared in your employee newsletter. It can be just forwarded to everyone in the organization. It doesn't have to be major, right? But it's how do you elevate, you say to your employees, it's okay to do these things. This is why we're in business, to create these compassionate experiences and make money,
right?
And that's why we do it. But share those things internally and externally, and elevate those compassionate stories, because I know people are looking for and looking for brands and to be connected to brands where they feel like there is some empathy on the other end of whatever experience they're having with that brand.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that come to mind that would be easy for a lot of small businesses. I know a lot of them. Most of the businesses do some sort of pro bono work. I know Frameworks in Miami. They do the framing for a local elementary school every year that, it's in the inner cities. They don't have the budget and everything, but they take all the pictures of all the kids and they frame all this. It's a pro bono work. There's no way they could charge enough money. I know the dentist or the chiropractor are going to take some clients sometimes that don't necessarily, they're in pain or they have issues, but they don't have the budget, and they'll do some stuff. Same thing with the law firms. They'll do some pro bono work, and I'm not. It's not about exploiting it, but it's putting that forward. You're doing this, so you might as well just say we're this is why we do it. This is the passion that we have with that. The other thing. and it's B1G1. I don't know if you've ever heard it. It's buy one, give one. It's an amazing organization.
Ooh,
And what
okay.
they've done is they've made donations to organizations worldwide accessible to small businesses. And I mean
Okay.
accessible because most of us, when we're thinking I'm going to donate at the end of the year, I'm going to give some money, so once we make multi-million-dollar, we'll have a budget and everything. But, what am I going to do with my $500,000 or $1 million budget? I don't have enough money. And with B1G1, you can, make a donation for $25. For 10
Okay.
bucks, for 100
That's a
bucks,
great idea.
and you can make a difference. And I'm going to put a link right there so people can actually look for it, because it's like, it's, you sign up, it's very easy, and you give, if you're a dentist, you can give dental care to people in Africa or people in India. You can give a goat to someone. I mean, it's just really nominal stuff that actually shows that you have some compassion and you're giving back. So that's
Yep.
a great, the third C was really, really cool. So we talked, the first C was consistency, then it was connection or connected, and the third
Yep.
one was compassion. You do those three things and you're going to change the game. You basically are going to set yourself apart from your competition. That's really what it's about, right?
Agreed. It is about setting yourself apart. It's about being either the better choice for a consumer, for that person that you want to do business with, or being the alternative choice. Because the one thing that consumers have at their disposal now is the ability to make that choice. And if they feel like there is consistency, compassion, and connectedness, they have the ability to make that choice better than they ever have done before, because of these little things that we carry around 24/7, and the ability for us to understand what brands are doing, what they're doing in the marketplace at the touch of our fingers.
Yeah, I say that to people in my presentation. I have good news, bad news. The bad news is you're a media company, and the good news is you're a media company, right? And you have this
Yep.
thing, yeah, with
Yep.
this, which we didn't have like 10, 15 years ago. That makes you a very dangerous media company. You can do that.
Yep.
All right, cool. So Michael, thank you so much. So, your call to action, what do you do? Like if I'm interested, I'm like, I really like what Michael is talking about, what types of services, I know you're a public speaker, you're a very gifted public speaker, but what do you offer as a service, and who is a good fit for you?
So what we offer as a service is to help marketing teams specifically, whether they're in agencies or in brands themselves, the ability to work better. So whether that's understanding how work gets done, how we do it more efficiently, and how we do it with some compassion and care amongst that team, that's what we help organizations do. If you would like to know more, I'm pretty much at Michael J. Barber everywhere online. And you can also head over to our website, which is Barber and Hewitt, all one word. That's BARBER and HEWITT.com, and you can connect with us there.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to put all those texts that will be right underneath as you're saying it with the video editing. We'll make it all cool and everything. Listen, if you, well, thank you very much, first of all, Michael. Thank you for taking the time to talking with us and bringing your wizardry to all of us, and certainly elevate our game. Thank you so much for being here with us.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so if you have questions, put them below. So obviously questions for me, but mostly if you have questions for Michael, just put them below in the comments, and I will reach out to Michael. I know which castle the wizard hides. I will find him, and I'll make sure that they'll answer the questions. And if you got value with this video, please make sure you like it and subscribe. You know how it is. You just click on the little thumbs up, and that's how we know we're doing a good job. And on that note, thank you so much, Michael, for spending the time with us. And go out there and apply the 3 C's and change your business.
Thanks so much. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.